Okay, beautiful friends. I am delighted to be here with Heidi Clements. We had a little like, where are you in time and space moment? And it was perfect because I had literally just written a friend this like encouraging thing, like, you can't fuck it up. And then you responded,
I fucked
like,
it up.
I fucked it up. And I was like, this is actually the perfect way to start this with you because I feel like what I really appreciate about you is this like, it's okay. Like we can do all these different things and like we can still be valuable. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for letting me perform my most hated thing, which is being late.
Yeah, well, you did it. We did it and we're still here.
Figured it out.
And like
Figured it out. And here we are.
neither of us were struck by lightning. I went through the whole like I fucked it up. I sent the wrong information. You got to experience that. And then we both found out like
No, it was
we're
me. I'm
okay.
sorry.
No
I'm
one's in
sorry I did that to
trouble.
you. Yeah, no, of
No.
course not. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So I love to ask people, what does it feel like for you to be in a body on this planet right now?
Wow. It's a little depressing to be in the world that we live in right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm very worried. As a Jewish person, I'm very sad because I feel like people assume if you're Jewish that you're okay with people in Palestine being killed. I am not. But I also wish that people realize that there were hostages taken. And I've heard a lot of people say that it's very white of me to say that there are two truths in this situation, but for me, there are. So that bums me out. The fact that we have a criminal running for president and it seems to be okay bums me out. So while I try to be happy and put out positive thoughts every day about being a woman of 63 in a world that is not kind to women of 63, um, it does get to me that we are in a bit of a state of turmoil, and I feel terrible for the younger generations of what the hell that we hath wrought for them.
Mm, yeah. So I love that just acknowledgement that it's a mixed bag,
It's a mixed
right?
bag of shit, is what it is.
Yeah, like ever it's not ever real to just be like, oh, love and light, or like it's totally hopeless, right? Like there's always both. And that is one of the things that really got me thinking about reaching out to you is that it feels like you are willing to still get up in the morning, like still find meaning and still find ways to enjoy yourself, to contribute, to be a part of life, even when you like have a lot of really legitimate reasons to find it to be difficult and challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a home, I don't have a job, I have some debt. So everything for me is kind of in the negative, but I also know that the only way to be happy is to just breed more happiness. Like I've said before, is to just become a fucking happiness factory because it literally signals the universe to give you more happy. And it's a difficult thing to do, but it's worth it to me. I've said before, like, I'm not talking to other people so much as I'm talking to myself in my social media. And if you listen to all of my stories, you'll see what a contradiction I am at times. 1 minute I say this, and then 2 weeks later or 2 months later, I might say something completely different.
Yeah.
I'm growing and learning with you in front of you on a social media app, which is probably pretty rare.
Yeah, yeah. That concept of growing and learning and like being change. Like I feel like one of our only actual identities that we can't get rid of is this thing about changing. Like we just know that we are changing in every moment. We can see it, cellularly with like our bodies changing and getting older and whatever. But like also definitely with our perspectives, our like mood, our whatever else. And
Yeah, I mean,
I
I can tell you from 63, I am not the same person I was at 53, 43, 33, 23, 13. Like I'm different. I said to someone today who was 20 something, I said, you don't even know who you are yet.
exactly. I have a
You haven't
12
had
year
the
old.
like you haven't had the chance to unbake all the shit that was put on top of you to get back to who the little girl is that you're supposed to be. You got to dig through all kinds of patriarchal family trauma bullshit before you get to that.
Oh my
If you
gosh.
if you don't, well, then you're a fucking saint and you should be running the country because you're a miracle child.
Yeah, there's no one who doesn't though. The 20s is like where the hypnosis, like you start to like wake up from the hypnosis and you're like, what? What just happened?
Well,
Right?
unless you're an alcoholic like me, and then it's not until you're 40 that you wake up. Did you just say you have a 12-year-old?
I have a 12-year-old in my life who
What's
is
that like?
just this force of nature, just wildest thing. But yeah, all the time he's like, I know who I am, right? And I'm like, you
And you
you
don't want to say, no, you don't, because that's what my parents did to me, and it was detrimental. I mean, it was like
well,
the opposite of being nurtured. It was just like
PS, there is nothing you can do as a parent that is not detrimental. Like it's just there's where acceptance comes in. Like I am fucking
you're gonna
everything
fuck it
up.
up. Yeah,
I am
it's why I didn't have kids.
actively yeah, I'm
I
actively
was,
fucking everything up, but the grace for me is like I know that there's no amount of fucked up that can't be like that meaning can't come from it, right? Like
yeah.
you have experienced all these renditions of things that on paper people would say like, "Oh, yeah, that's just 100% in the bad category. That's like
Mhm.
fucked up," right? Like
Yeah.
alcoholism, right? You've moved through that and you've had all of these experiences from reading your book, which read the book. It's not Heidi now, it's time capsule Heidi 10 years ago, but it's worth it. Like I really enjoyed it from just like a enjoyable aspect, but I also really appreciated it because being willing to say like, here's a peek into my version of fucked up is a really gracious offering because everybody has their version of fucked up and it's the shame which leads us to violence in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's
for
when
sure.
we don't admit that we end up hurting ourselves or others. So, but yeah, like that ability to say, yeah, here's my version of fucked up and I still want to be here. And I still want to like love my dogs and I still want to put on, iridescent green pants, which like two thumbs up on those pants, so fun.
Thanks.
Like and smile and hang out with a random stranger on a Wednesday evening to talk about the meaning of all of this. Like that's pretty darn incredible.
Well,
And
that's
yeah,
thanks. I mean, I'm glad you feel that way. I definitely um I refuse to have shame about my life. Like I just refuse. I didn't murder anyone.
yeah,
I
I heard you say that in one interview. And, this refusal is such a superpower. And I'm so curious, like who gave you that permission slip? Where do you think that came from?
I don't know. I mean, I don't, whenever people say like, who are your mentors? I don't have any. I didn't have any female role models, that's for sure.
Mhm.
I think, I think it's just, I'm very curious.
Mhm.
I want to leave here better than I came. And so I do a lot of digging into why I feel the way that I feel. And I'm very adamant about the fact that these things were done to me. So why should I have shame about them? I would like to give the shame back to the people who perpetrated the things on me that led me to be who I was. The fact that I was unnurtured, the fact that I was molested, the fact that I was raped. these are things that made me, better or worse, who I am. So why should I have shame about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's an
I heard
incredible.
myself contradict myself recently because I said in an interview, like, one of the hardest things to do is to look in the mirror and apologize to your child for things that happened to her. And then more recently, I said, like, why the fuck am I apologizing? I didn't do anything to her. It
Yeah.
was done to her. The
Yeah.
only thing I can apologize for is if I leave her there now, if I
Yeah.
don't bring her to where I am now. And I do think that I do know why I am who I am. I think that I carry some body trauma with me that I would like to release, but I feel pretty good about who I am. I feel like I figured it. I don't feel like I'm gonna wake up in 10 years and go, holy shit, I was lying to everybody. I buried it all. I wanted to be married and have kids, and I just fucked it all. I don't think that's gonna happen. You never know.
Yeah. I mean,
That
we don't know,
would
but
suck.
how incredible to be able to give yourself that permission to say, yes, these things happened and I didn't like them and they had a lot of impact on the decades that followed, but I want to do something different in my life regardless. Like, I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, right? Like, I'm a victim, all this stuff happened to me, and in no way would I ever tell anyone that any of those things are their fault. But like
Yeah.
this ability
But
to
people
switch,
do let it define them. And you
yeah,
cannot let it define you. You have to just realize it's just a story in your life of stories that add to your overall picture and that you can figure out how to do good with it. Like share it with people so that somebody can relate
yeah,
and see you get through it and say, oh,
yeah,
it's not so bad.
yeah.
She didn't kill herself.
Exactly. Yeah. And she's not in a ditch with people spitting on her, right? Like all these things that you rattled off at the beginning, like you don't have a job, you don't have a house, whatever. Those things are in this
But look at me
list.
living in a guest house in
I
Montecito.
mean,
I know.
you're living in Montecito. Like,
I know.
let's
I know.
just
Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. But
You are correct. I mean, that's the reframing, right? It's like it's not my fault, but now how I deal with it is my responsibility. So, like, I don't have a house could be put in the list of that's sad, that's scary, that's dangerous, that's a failure because I'm this much old and I've had this amount of, income and how could it be and blah, blah. Or you could say, hey, like, I'm really, someone who cultivated the kind of friendship where this like person with this beautiful resource is welcoming me to share in that resource in one of the most coveted like towns to live in on the planet. Like literally Oprah is your neighbor,
don't
right?
forget Megan and Harry. And, I do have a
Don't
little
forget
bit,
Megan and Harry.
and Ashton and Mila. There are a lot of famous people here. I haven't seen any of them. I do have a little bit of shame about my lack of financial prowess. I'm not gonna lie. I
Yeah.
have not. It's probably the one thing that I haven't been able to like really get rid of, the shame of how terrible I've been with money. But people like to say money doesn't buy happiness. And I say, I will show you the stores that sell it because I've been in all of them and I've purchased from all of them and I'm wearing it every day.
You
But
know, that's I think my favorite thing about you so far is that you have not been successful with money because
no,
I think that
I've made a
is,
lot.
yeah, it sounds like it and spent a lot, which I also
Yeah.
think is like, I mean, to have
Oh yeah.
money to spend it.
I lived in $11,000 a month house because I was like, I got it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that is so high on the list of like, you're bad things in this country in particular, like not having money or not being good with money. It's like
Yeah.
so defines how people feel about
Oh
themselves.
my God.
It
Yeah,
is
you should see the comments on my post about making the same salary in 85 as I did, and how much money I made. And people are like, what did you do with your money? I'm
yeah,
like, I fucking lived my life. Shut the fuck up. Go judge yourself.
it's intense.
I could be
And
dead tomorrow. I could save hundreds of thousands of dollars and I could get hit by a fucking train tomorrow. And guess what? I'm going to be in heaven and I'm going to go, I'm so pissed I didn't buy those fucking Gucci boots. They were amazing.
buy them. Yes, I think it is a fascinating topic because it is an area where like most everyone I know feels both incredible shame and incredible like rage and powerlessness and victimhood and blah 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 blah, all of the things. And then you have all these people out here doing this like, well, what you think about you bring about, and like if you don't like, if you're not manifesting all of the things and living on a yacht, having time freedom, then like you are not spiritual. And it's like, you know what? It's
Uh,
yeah, it's so layered, right? We're all trying. Everyone is doing their version of what they can figure out. And your version of what you could figure out was that you spent the money, you know?
I
And
lived my
like
life.
if you had, just like you said, if you had saved all of the money, let's say you did all of the right things, you saved all the money, you like got married to a white, Jewish man and had 3 kids and did the whole thing. And then like there was a massive economic crash or you died of cancer. Like,
You just don't know. Nobody's promised tomorrow. But also, I just don't want to be, I think my shame comes from I don't want to be dependent on people. And so I'm so grateful that I have friends that have saved me twice now, the same friends. But I don't want to be dependent on them.
yeah.
And, for me, I could easily be making a shit ton of money on social media, but I just don't want to sell Halara pants and Shein shoes. And so I don't take the money grab.
Yeah, I don't even know what either of those things mean, but I believe
Crap.
you. Okay.
Amazon stretch pants, or, I get offers from, those are the brand deals that I get all the time. And
I
I keep
see.
making money every single day, hand over fist, but I just don't, that doesn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah. And at some point, you'll probably figure out what this dependency piece is, and see what that feels like inside of your body to be like, because at some point we're all going to be dependent on somebody,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
We're
financial freedom is the greatest freedom of all, in my opinion, but that's because I haven't been persecuted. I'm sure I'd
right.
feel different if I wasn't a white woman.
Yeah. Or like, the dependency thing is a fascinating one because I'm trained as a speech pathologist and my early years were with in public schools with multiply disabled kiddos who were like never one day in their life gonna be independent, right? They were never one day in their life gonna uh end up supporting somebody else, let alone themselves, right? They were going to always be dependent. And these were some of the humans that like made really big impacts on my life. And all of it's a possible reframe, right? It's so
Mhm.
fascinating, this power
Yeah.
that we have to be able to do that. I really, first of all, love that you love and miss smoking because I also love and miss smoking a lot. I loved smoking. I started when I was in the psych hospital. It was like the only way that we could go outside was if we needed a smoking break. And so I became a smoker to have time outside and I loved it so much. Um,
I still smoke hemp cigarettes. They're like a CBD cigarette.
oh,
And every once in a while, I'll sit outside with my near beer and my hemp cigarette, and it's just joy.
I made a paper cigarette that's just a piece of paper that's rolled up and taped. And me and my kids sometimes just like smoke them. And it is so satisfying. I have to tell you, like, because you're still doing the sucking and like it looks like a
Yeah.
cigarette. I'm sure you feel that with your
I think
hemp.
that's why I got so addicted to weed because I just loved smoking a joint.
Yeah, well, it slows your breathing down. It's just like it's
Yeah.
really a wonderful, beautiful thing. But,
Mm.
you know, this idea that like we can have something that we know that is really going to kill us, right? But that it's like so good. I feel like that's where that like victimy, like everything's bad and everything's falling apart. It feels like that to me. It's like, it can feel so good, but I also know that it's killing me. And it's easier in some ways to just like go to that, right? So what are some of the things that you do that help you in those moments where you're like, I just want to go crawl back into that, like the world is awful and I can't do anything about it.
I think moving to where I moved was so helpful because I live surrounded by trees with a view of the ocean. And so I take my dog to the beach. I go for a walk. I can hear owls at night. The bullfrogs are louder than any song that I could play in my headphones. It's um never underestimate the healing power of nature because it really, like, if I said, oh, I go take a walk in LA, I'd be like, that wasn't helpful at all.
Mm,
But here it's incredibly helpful. And then I use writing a lot to um now I do it in the morning and tell a story, but I am writing something every day and I am getting rid of something, purging some thought that I
mm,
have every day. I'm just doing it on social media, but it does
mm-hmm,
start with me writing something that I want to talk about and or release into the universe and
mm-hmm.
release from myself. So I think those are the things that I do um to get away, but it's a lot easier for me to not sink into the negativity sober. I just, if people realize like how much happier you can be just being sober, I think a lot of people would give up the booze.
Yeah, say more about that. What do you think that is?
It's just a massive depressant. And when you're not drunk, you're depressed that you're not drunk. Like it's just, you're just constantly depressed about this wave that you're living in where you're anxious and horrified by shit you did when you're drunk. And then when you're not drunk, you just can't stand the sight of who you are and you just want to get drunk again. It's just like such a vicious hamster wheel of depression. And I don't think people talk about how depressive alcohol is when you're not drunk.
Yeah,
Uh,
very interesting. I don't think I've ever heard alcohol described as a depressant.
oh my God, it's such a depressant. I mean, think about how you feel with a hangover. Like you're fucking depressed.
Yeah, I only drank once.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I got like really, I drank a bottle of coconut rum like in
Oh,
2 minutes. Yeah, right?
woof. That would be enough. That would be the one time.
That was the
Yeah, I
one
mean,
time.
I don't think, I think it's poison. I think it's, whereas I think weed can be really healthy for a lot of people. It just isn't for me because I'm an addict. And once again, I got really crabby and depressed when I wasn't stoned. And I
Hmm.
didn't start doing that until like almost 2 decades after I quit drinking. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, like just not being present can be more depressing, I
yeah,
think. And if
yeah,
you're present and you're depressed about something, you can like really look at it with a clear mind and say, okay, fine, let's lean into the suck of this. What am I depressed about? And think about it. And then you'll realize, like, okay, that's not so bad. That'll pass.
yeah. Like the
But
thing, like
you're
the
burying it
monster.
constantly with, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about, well, you're not making it go away. You're just building it into a bigger boulder that you're never going to push up the hill.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, like better to just look at it.
Deal with it.
Yeah, and be like, "Okay, there is a monster under my bed, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to
And it's
face
me.
this." Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm the drunk monster under my bed.
I'm the drunk monster under my bed. That should be on a t-shirt. Because that's what it comes down to, right? Like
Yeah,
you're a story writer, right? The whole story is whatever this monster is saying.
yeah,
And so if the monster is saying like everything's terrible and nothing ever works out, then like that's 100% what the experience is going to be. And yet nobody wants to spend time with the monster, not
yeah,
realizing that the monster is where all the answers are.
yeah.
Would
Have tea with the monster.
have tea with the monster. Monster might like to have a hug.
Yeah.
Just a little
Usually
hug.
the monster just needs a hug, quite frankly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I do this. My regular work is coaching, and I do this body dialogue thing, talking with people's body parts and what the body parts have to say. And 100% of the time, they're like, "Ah, thank you for acknowledging me."
Oh, wow.
They're never jerks. Like, they're never like, you've been treating me like shit for 25 years and you haven't talked to me once and you just now you want to talk. They're always like, ah, hi. They're so sweet.
Right.
But yeah, there is so much wisdom to the monster. And yet, most of the population is just like, I can't. I can't. I don't know how. It's way too
Yeah,
scary. And that monster, has been given such a bad rap by all the people who are like, you're fine. You don't have feelings. Stop it. Like don't show your feelings or we're gonna crush you. So like
yeah.
where did you find that courage to actually take a look at that monster?
No idea. Honestly. I mean, I've been doing what I do for decades. I had a blog in my 40s where I wrote everything about myself, and then I wrote my book, and I've always been an open book. Again, I've had no shame about who I am. I've just been really, even when I didn't know who I was, or
Yeah.
even when I was someone other than I am now, I just always thought I knew everything, and I'm right, and this is cool, and I'm going to say this out loud, and I don't give a fuck what you think about me. Um, I'm sure a lot of it came from getting sober, to be honest with you, because if I think about it, that's when I started doing all of my writing. Was my real writing was at 40, blogging and podcasting and all of that stuff. I think I just was like, well, I'm actually saying things that I can back up because I'm clear-minded. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm right. And I'm amazing. And I'm just going to talk about it. I mean, I don't know that I think I'm amazing, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just always believed in my thoughts,
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
even when nobody
powerful.
else did.
And I love that
Most
you
people
can
haven't.
you can attach that like being clear-minded to being able to I've heard you talk a lot about confidence, and I was thinking about the word confidence, and like my BA was in linguistics and I'm a nerd about etymology, and con, the like con means with, and the fidelity part is like about loyalty and like assurance and those kind of things, and I think it is the most powerful thing we can access is that like assurance with ourselves, like that,
Yeah.
like yes, like with me I am sure, and
Yeah.
and everything around us is doing its absolute darndest to be like, do not trust yourself. You have to trust your daddy, you have to trust the government, you
Yeah.
have to trust your boss, you have to trust anybody else but yourself. And I love that answer of I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I've never really thought about it before, but I'm sure it came from being sober, that
Yeah.
I was so unsure of everything I was doing drunk and who I
Mm.
was and what I was doing. It was all such a anxiety, like I didn't realize that I lived most of my life in fight or flight. Like I didn't realize any of that. I didn't know I was type A, any of those things until I got sober, and took a long, hard look at myself. And, like spending time with myself and my thoughts and confronting them and saying, why do I feel that way? Why do you feel that way? And I think that's what makes me confident in it, is that I'm sober, so it must be okay. And if I did so many fucked up things drunk that I wanted to take back, that if I do something sober and fuck it up, well, I can change my mind and you'll accept it because I'm sober now. I'm not a drunken asshole, you know? It
Yeah.
just feels like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think that's it.
I love that so much. And I also think that there, like for a lot of us who have had this, what I feel like is just like a gift to be able to enter into that process of getting to know the monster, that there is some sort of like other something. There's some sort of other something that's like with us in this.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, I my writing got so much better when I got sober. And as I've gotten older, I do what I call channel writing, which is
Mm,
I don't even remember half the shit I've written when I read it back. I think I have assistants.
yeah.
Not the stories that I write, but when I write scripts, I don't remember. I'll read a joke and be like, that's fucking funny. When did I write that? Like just literally like I know that I have assistance from some kind of spirit guides or people that are connecting with me and helping me.
Yeah. Yeah. When did that start to like, when did you start to notice that? Also post sobriety?
Yeah, but more recently, I would
Mhm.
say in the last 5 to 10 years, for sure. Like I used to only be able to write in the morning, and I would really have to like get into this place where I'm not thinking about the words, and I could sit down right now and write a script. Like, let's go.
And is it one of those things like I know that when something feels like divinely guided or channeled through me, I come out of it with like a freshness, like with less of a like, whew, I just did some work. Like when I'm doing something that's really like me generated and I have a lot, I'm like trying to control it or whatever,
Yeah.
and I come out of it and I'm like, ah. But when
Yeah.
I have something where I'm like, oh, that
Like, oh,
came
that
from,
was fun. Yeah.
uh-huh. Does it feel
Oh,
like
that was
that for you?
4 hours of fun. Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love reading stuff back and not remembering that I wrote it.
So
It's
cool.
wild, but fun, and I enjoy that.
Do you do any sort of like, now I'm like opening myself up to this, or any sort of like ritual or dialogue, or have you gotten curious about like who those assistants are?
No, I don't like to ask a lot of questions. Just grateful they're there.
You're like, thank you, but let's not really talk about it too much.
No, I just don't have any, I don't have
Yeah.
any answers on that. I think I'm just having help tap into my talent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Which,
think that a particular talent that I have, dialogue writing, or storytelling, if you want to call it that. But that's the hardest thing as a writer, to admit that you're a good writer. I go on and off on that constantly. It's very difficult because, you write things and they're good, and then you give them to people who are supposed to read them, and then, you don't hear from them for months, and they don't understand that they are like fucking open heart surgeons, and they've asked if they can operate on you, and then they just fucking leave you on the table. It's like, hello? So that part's difficult, but I know I'm a good writer, and I just feel like someone's helping me get to what's good quick, because I don't like to spend a lot of time. Like, I am not one of those writers that pores over it and, oh, this joke could be better, and it's like I know that some point, if it's a script, it's going to get to a room full of people that'll make it better. Or if it's a story I'm telling, it's like, oh, I could have told that differently. Oh, well, I'll do another one tomorrow. Like, it's just gone
mm-hmm.
with the wind.
Yeah.
It's not that fucking precious. We all need to stop taking ourselves so damn seriously.
Yeah, yeah, that is a big one because I think, this permission to not take it so serious is pretty radical. I know that for me, I was so hell bent on like trying to be good that I just buried myself in the effort and the, at first it was through religion, and then later I'm like, oh, I'll do it through like being like a social justice person, and then I'm like, oh, I'll do it through spiritual whatever, and then it's like sometimes I just need to like watch really bad porn and eat Doritos, and be like, I am not
Yeah, we are
trying
our
so
own worst
hard.
enemies, that's for sure.
Oy, yeah,
We get in
yeah.
our way the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just realized that I am not quite sure what time we started at. Do
I think
you
we
happen to
started
know?
at yes, we started at about 3:15, but I don't know if we
Started.
talked. But
Well,
hey, it's okay. We
okay.
got a couple more questions. Let's
Okay.
go.
Yeah, I do. Okay. As long as you're good, and we'll see where we get. Yeah, we don't want to take too much of your day.
Well, I don't want to
Um,
bore people.
oh, I don't think that's possible.
Okay.
Honestly, and you know what's lovely about these offerings, like everything that we put out into the world, all your outfits and all your stories and all your whatever you're putting out, it's like I just think of myself setting like a table full of snacks all the time. And I'm like, just like come, like get the snacks if you want them. If you don't like them and you don't want them, like great. But I just enjoy putting the snacks out. Like it's fun for me. It fills up some time. I get to like connect
I
with beautiful
literally wrote
people.
this. I wrote a story this morning about my love of snacks.
Snacks are
I
special.
I ended up using something else, but I did write about my love of snacks.
What do you
Yeah.
love about snacks?
Well, I like the variety of not having to have a meal, of just gathering my favorite bad food items and having what the kids call girl dinner. That to me is a privilege that I love.
Love it too. Yeah. I got divorced when my kid was 3. And I loved that from then on, like if we want to have Cheez-Its for dinner,
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
ah,
I'm a big fan of like vegan chicken nuggets with buffalo sauce and blue cheese dressing. Like that's a good dinner for me. I'm down. Let's go.
I had vegan chicken nuggets for dinner tonight.
The best.
Hmm.
Eat
Barbecue
it.
sauce, seasoned fries, and some
Oh,
very mayonnaise coleslaw.
let's go. Yeah, fabulous.
Mm,
That's a meal. That's a
yeah.
champion meal right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
there's something to eating what makes you happy
Hmm.
that does things to your mood and to your joy levels, and even affects your weight in the sense that you won't gain weight from eating these things that make you happy.
Yeah, I mean, the weight thing is like really confusing. I find
Ugh.
the fact that we have bodies to be like really odd and strange. And uh, I've heard you talk about body dysmorphia. Like, I
Ugh.
am like quite clear that I have no idea what I look like. Like, and in the past several years have been like, oh, that's another thing that we have in common is I had top surgery recently and you've
Oh,
had
nice.
breast reduction. Yeah. Best thing that ever happened in my whole
Yeah.
life.
I actually did my left boob 3 times because I hated it. I still hate it, but it's better.
It was like not quite right.
Wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
They
hate
do
the fact
their
that every time you gain weight, they grow. Like,
Well, I read that in your book and I was like, that's not possible, right? But for me, they like literally took out like I think every fat.
I was like, just leave the nipple, man. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they even took my nipples. I was like, they're done. I had nursed my kid for like 3 years, so those nipples had been to hell and back, and I was like, they can go with God. Like we can burn them in a ritual. Like they have done some serious active duty and like, but
Yeah, there's a
yeah.
lot of interesting shit that goes along with boobs.
Yeah, bodies are just like
Weird.
very bizarre. Yeah, and at the
I mean, I'm
same
grateful for mine. It's strong and does things, and but I don't I'm not a huge fan at It's hilarious that I dance in my underwear every day because I am not a huge fan of looking at myself in my underwear. Like the shots that I leave on the cutting room floor don't make me happy, but I can't, all I can do is be healthy and not worry about it. Nobody else would care. So
Well,
why do I
the fascinating thing is that like in a way, you talked about your writing being like getting it out of you. Like there's
care?
probably an element of like you in your underwear, like getting that out
Oh
of you
yeah, no, it's
too.
100% body acceptance. 100% has been healing me for sure.
Yeah, because it's like, well, once again, like I've done this list or this thing
Yeah.
that's on the list of inappropriate, and like I'm still here. Like,
I mean, it sucks that I can't I get skinny shamed more than anything else, like I can't talk about the fact that I feel fat or that I don't like how I look or that I'm overweight because to the naked eye, I am thin and I am thin. I know that I'm thin, but that doesn't change my body dysmorphia. My body dysmorphia thinks I'm fat, and fat is a bad word because I was told it's a bad word. Like there's a lot of layers to it. Like I I we have to understand that everybody's living a different truth, and whatever it is that upsets you, you're allowed to be upset about it and not get that you're so fucking skinny, what do you care about? It's like, well, to you I am, yes, but you can't change the voice in my head by saying that to me.
yeah, when my experience pushes up against your experience, we're faced with this really hard deal about how there's there's not one truth. There's not
Yeah.
one version. There
Yeah.
is always and only ever like 8,000 different versions. And if I want to get vulnerable about mine, and then you take that to mean that I'm threatening the reality of yours, then
Yeah.
neither of us gets to actually just say this is what's happening for me.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
which you've spent a lot of time with your monster under the bed and these people who are like, oh, you're limiting my ability to have my experience. They just haven't had the chance to do that yet, and
Yeah.
they're just still trying to make it your fault, anybody else's fault.
Yeah. I always have to preface anything I say on body dysmorphia like, I know I'm thin, I get it, but doesn't mean I don't have body dysmorphia. Lola
Yeah.
wants to check into the chat.
Hi, baby. What a pumpkin, a little tiny friend.
Like Daisy
Hi.
always gets on camera. How come I'm never in the just get dressed?
Yeah. Do you want to be a part of it? Yeah. What do you want to put on? Look at your eyes. Look at
She's
your
like, I'm
eyes and your
wearing a
little
fur coat,
nose.
and people don't like fur. It's okay.
You're acceptable because it's just you were born with it, so you get to
Yeah.
wear it if you're born with it. Oh, what a pumpkin. This little joy of having a being who will just come to you and say, I want a little snuggle,
I
right?
love dogs. Dogs keep you present, and being present is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime I'm in a program, like a coaching program, and they say to every 15 minutes to say, who am I, what am I doing, or where am I and what am I doing? And someone was saying like, what's the point? Well, I can just answer those questions, it doesn't mean anything. And it's that like, oh, I'm in
Yeah.
the present moment, and the dog is never like, oh well, I just like,
What are we doing later?
yeah, I just like asked her for some snuggles like 15 minutes ago, and she's gonna think I'm kind of clingy. And if I go over there, like it's obvious she's in like a meeting thing, and am I gonna bug her? And
Well, this is what's so funny about them. So it's 4:55, and now they're both here
they're like,
because
it's almost dinner,
they
mom.
they eat at 5 o'clock every goddamn day, like clockwork, because they
Hmm.
still see me, much like they get up at 7 a.m. every day, like clockwork.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, so we have a schedule,
Yeah.
and what's
Dogs.
happening?
Yeah.
But again, keeps you in that present moment and keeps you
Yeah.
connected to those things of like eating and sleeping and waking up and What a great reinforcement and reminder that, like, while we're not super thrilled or understand these bodies, like, they are just animal bodies and they do need all these animal things like sleeping, eating, moving.
Yeah.
Ah, how has your interaction with those like animal body things impacted your ability to stay sane in your mind?
You mean having pets?
No, like having you as an animal and connecting with those basic body things like eating and sleeping and moving.
Oh, I don't think about I had a friend who um have a friend who suffers from anorexia, and I immediately threw my scale out and I started throwing out my clothes that didn't fit me and buying bigger sizes if I need them. Um, I don't worry about how much sleep I get because I don't get enough. I'm very, again, privileged. I'm not working right now. I have a pension, so I get up. I don't set an alarm and I get up when I get up, which is usually 7 a.m. And I eat when I want and I try to eat healthy. I exercise because I live alone and I don't want to depend on somebody or have to depend on somebody that's not here. Um, and so I don't think a lot about those things at all, actually. They just are a part of life. I spend more time thinking about, you know, am I going to sell a script? Am I going to find a place to live? Um, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting stuck in those things and you like can't map it all out, how do you support yourself?
Um, I make plans to go out with someone or go for a walk or go to the beach or do a podcast, you
Lovely,
know,
lovely. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people can get kind of
connect
snagged.
from it. You got to disconnect from it.
Yeah,
Because the more you think about it, the less you're going to solve it.
that's right. It's like you're too close in
Yeah, you
and
can't. I can't make somebody else read my script faster. I can't magically make a house appear. I mean, I can hope that one does, but I can't make that person call me back any quicker than they are. There's certain stuff you have control over, and when you don't have control, you got to just let go. I mean, I said it every day for I don't know how many days, but everything good in life happens when you just let go.
it's bizarre. And that path to surrender is like does not come through forcing it, right? It's
No,
like,
you just gotta like just stop worrying about it.
yeah, yeah.
What if I never get a job? What if it all worked out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What if
yeah.
what if you just stopped worrying about it? What if you just let go?
Yeah, both paths are imagination, right? The like, what if I end up homeless is just as fantasy as what if I ended up with a house in Montecito?
Yeah, and what if I end up homeless is just borrowing trouble? Like, why on earth would you ever go down that path? Like, that's bananas to me.
I go down that path a
Do it.
lot, a
Oof, not
lot.
me.
And I then tell myself, like, all right, like, if and when, like, I would just
You'll figure it out.
figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Yep.
If you want to figure it out, you'll figure it out. But living, marinating in that shit is not good.
Yeah, and having the wherewithal to be able to say like, "Oh, I'm gonna call a friend. I'm gonna go on a walk." That's something that a lot of people find really challenging to like
Yeah.
connect with that wiser voice.
Or meditate. I mean, I know
Mhm.
that the one tool that I have that works is meditation, and even I haven't been doing it. So I got to get
Mm,
back into that.
yeah. Why do you think that is?
I just know that it works. I don't know why it works or how it works, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think you haven't been meditating?
Because I've just felt so at peace
Mm,
that I haven't needed it, but I think you always need it, in the background of your life.
yeah, I heard someone say recently like the purpose of meditating is to become meditative.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're meditative,
Yeah.
then you don't need,
That shit bothers you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's a good thing. Transcendental meditation is wild.
yeah. I've heard people talk about that. I don't know anything about it, but
Really good. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I love that you have all these things, and I know that you have babies to feed. So thank you for sharing
Thank
some
you.
of your,
Oh, sorry, I was
oh
so
my
late.
gosh. Oh my gosh. It's great. It was like perfect for me to be like, just yeah, to just it was the vibe of the whole thing for me was like we can't do it wrong, we can't be bad, we can't be good. And the permission that comes when I'm like, I don't, and none of it is going to mean I can be here, none of it is going to mean I can find joy and I can contribute and I can be a part of it, connect with cool people like you. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to like,
You just let go.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
beautiful.
thank you. It was lovely chatting with you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.